Hi guys, today is Wednesday, May the 5th, and I'm going to be going over our math lesson. So Mrs. Pierce just realized this is the second time she's recorded it. And so I've already filled out all of my simple solutions, but I'm going to go through it. I just mistakenly forgot to have the sound available, so you couldn't hear anything on my first video. So this is lesson 110. I circled numbers 4, 5, 6, 8, and 12, and 15. So I'm going to explain my thinking on it. First, number 4, George uses 4/5 foot of tape to wrap his ankle before each football game. If George has 9 football games this season, how much tape will he need? So I did 4/5 times 9, and I got 36/5. Remember that our denominator stays the same. Our numerator is what we're multiplying. So 4 times 9 equals 36. On 5, we're supposed to choose the numbers that are multiples of both 3 and 5. So I set it up, and I had 3 and I had 5. And I counted by 3s, and I looked. Could I count by 3 and get to 15? Yes, I could. Could I count by 3 and get to 12? Yes, I could. That's why I put a check mark. Could I count by 3 and get to 30? Yes, I can. What about 18? Yep. And 27? Absolutely. But when I count by 5s, I can get to 15. I cannot get to 12. I can get to 30. I cannot get to 18. I would go 15, then 20. So I skip over 18, so I can't count that. And then 27, well, 20, 25, 30. I don't count by 5s and get to 27. So the only two that match up are 15 and 30. Moving on, I have 2 rays that form a right angle. Remember, a right angle is equal to 90 degrees. I need to first add and find the sum of these 2 angles so I can subtract from 90 to get S. So 21 plus 43 equals 64. I take 90, I subtract 64, and I get a difference of 26. So S equals 26 degrees. On number 8, I have 5/10 equals 27 hundredths. Well, remember that 1/10 is equal to 10 hundredths. It says to change the tenths to the hundredths before we add. So when I change 5/10 to hundredths, I actually get 50 hundredths. Then I'm adding 27 hundredths, and I get a total of 77 hundredths. Moving on, if I were to subtract and find what's the difference between the shortest of the dogs and the tallest of the dogs, well, the tallest is 2.5 feet, the shortest is 1.5 feet. I subtract and I get 2 feet. So 2 feet is my answer. My last question is 49 times 18. I have 40 and 9, 10 and 8. 10 times 40 equals 400. 10 times 9 equals 90. 40 times 8, 320. 8 times 9, 72. When I add up all of my answers, I get an answer of 882. At any point, if you need to go back and see any of these answers, make sure you pause the video so you can see what I wrote. Alrighty, I'm moving on to this page that is found in your folder. It looks like this. It's the work page, Module 5, Lesson 17. That's what we're going to be working on. We had our lesson on Monday where we added and subtracted using a number line. We're going to do the same thing, but now we're subtracting from one whole. So our first number is 1 minus 3/8. Are our units the same? You might say no. However, I can take this one whole and make it into 8/8. So go ahead and write that. 8/8 minus 3/8 equals, well, we're going to do a number line. I have my number line with 0 and 1 whole, 0/8, 8/8. I'm going to split up my number line to show those eighths. 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8, 5/8, 6/8, 7/8. And I'm subtracting 3/8. So I'm starting at 1 and subtracting 3/8. So 1, 2, 3. So what answer have I landed on? I've landed on 5/8. So 8/8 minus 3/8 equals 5/8. This is the first problem you should have written on your sheet. If you have this problem written on your sheet, remember, I will give you 2 Firebird bucks for having everything written down that I have written down. Okay, my second problem. I want us to think about it. If I were to give you the following numbers and variables, what 2 addition subtraction problems can I make? So I have 1, I have x, and I have 2/3. My first addition problem would be x plus 2/3 equals 1. I can also do 2/3 plus, oops, that looks like a multiplication, plus x equals 1. I can do 1 minus x equals 2/3. And I can also do 1 minus 2/3 equals x. Knowing that information, I am going to do a number line. On one side, I have 0. On the other, I have 3/3 because that's the same as 1. I'm going to split it into thirds. If I have 1/3 and 2/3, and I know 2/3 is what we're using here, 1 is also what we're using. If I start here to here, what do I have to add? This is x. X equals what? X equals 1/3. Because 2/3 plus 1/3 equals 3/3. Good. On the back, I have a little bit more room. I'm going to do the last problem. So we have 1 and 1/5, and I'm going to subtract 2/5. Well, to make this easier on myself, I'm going to do that number bond from Monday. So 1 is actually equal to 5/5, and I have this 1/5 left over. I'm going to add it, so I now have a improper fraction. I have 6/5. So 6/5 minus 2/5. Now what I'm going to do is draw a tape diagram. I'm going to split it in to 6 equal parts. But my 1 whole stops after 5 because remember we're using fifths. So this represents 6/5. If I subtract 2 of those fifths, how many fifths am I left with? 4/5. That's correct. Okay, we're going to go ahead and look at our problem set. So remember, if you have 1, 2, and 3 all written on your paper, I will give you 2 Firebird bucks. The last part, I'm just going to quickly go over what you need to do on your problem set. So on your problem set, we're going to do the whole thing, but on the back, I'm changing the directions. So on number 1, you're going to look at the following 3 fractions and write 2 subtraction, 2 addition sentences. So I have 10/5, 8/5, 2/5. 10/5 is the largest, so that makes it my whole. So I can do 8/5 plus 2/5 equals 10/5. I can do 2/5 plus 8/5 equals 10/5. I can subtract 10/5 minus 2/5 and get 8/5. And I can also do 10/5 minus 8/5 and get 2/5. Remember that in subtraction, the whole number always has to go first. So after you do what I did in A, I would like you to also do B. For number 2, model each subtraction problem with a number line. Solve by counting up and subtracting. Part A has been completed for you. So on all of them, they are converting the whole number of 1 into the fractional parts. So we have 4/4 minus 3/4 equals 1/4. And they show it on a number line. I'm going to do B with you. So I'm seeing that we're using tenths. So 1 whole in tenths is 10 tenths minus 8 tenths equals. I'm going to draw my number line. I have 0 tenths and I have 10 tenths. Then I'm going to split this into 10 tenths, not 10, into tenths. And I'm going to subtract 8 tenths. So starting here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I land on 2 tenths. So 10 tenths minus 8 tenths equals 2 tenths. I had to kind of squeeze 2 tenths in. I would like you to do C, D, E, and F. On the back, I would like for you to change my directions. You're just going to find the difference and show number bond for improper fractions. So I'm going to ignore these parts here and do what they did here. So instead, so for B, I have 1 and 3/6. I'm going to have 6/6 and 3/6, which makes this the same as 9/6. So 9/6 minus 4/6 equals 5/6. And that is all I would like you to do for each one. So C, D, and E. You are first going to convert it into its improper fraction, then subtract. Let me know if you have any questions. Bye, guys.